What's up, people? Joe Winko here, your favorite Hawaiian guy, and this is my next episode of Joe Winko Talk, and this is actually my first episode of Joe Winko Talk for year 2024, so yeah, just wanted to announce that. So this is going to be an X-rated video. So if you're under 18, please do not watch this video because I'm going to be talking about a lot of sexual themed stuff in this video. And as you guys should be able to tell from the title of this video, this episode of Joe Winko Talk is going to be about why I love bald men so much. So yeah, those of you who know me will definitely know this, but I myself am a gold star gay man. I only like guys. I'm not attracted to females at all. But my sexuality is honestly very strange, to be honest with all of you. I'm only attracted to men, but I just don't like penis at all. I'm actually a total top, but to be completely honest with all of you, I really don't even like intercourse that much, don't really care for it that much. I also can't orgasm from fucking a guy's ass, and I also can't take it up the ass, and I also do not suck penis either. The main thing that I'm into is having my penis sucked on a lot by another guy, and only another guy, but I honestly like it a lot more than guys usually do. Like I literally had men who have ghosted me because I like having my penis sucked on too much. But don't get me wrong, it's not like I do it with anyone really. I only do it with someone who I'm at least close to and who I know would want to see me over and over again. I also watch a lot of porn too. Well, yeah, like almost every guy does. But the videos I mainly watch are videos of straight guys getting sucked off because it's technically what I'm into. I mean, even though I'm a gold star gay guy, all I'm mainly into is having my penis sucked on a lot. And I remember I saw this one video on X Hamster. I mean, it's literally the first thing that shows up when you Google search this, like of a bald cocksucker. That's what the video itself was called, and it was a gay porn video of this bald man sucking another man's penis. And I honestly thought the video was extremely arousing, like more arousing than any other porno movie that I saw before. And there's actually a lot of videos that I watch on porn sites of bald guys sucking other guys off. And the thing is, I actually have a sexual turn on for men who are bald, really. And there's actually quite a few reasons why. First of all, when a guy is bald, it gives him like this sexy masculine look when he's like bald and has no hair. Because usually it's guys who go bald. Women don't really go bald very often, and I'm only attracted to guys. So I like it when a guy is bald because it's a masculine trait. And there's also another thing, and this is because of my autism mind, but I always wanted a bald man to perform oral sex on me for a really long time. I always imagined that it would be extremely arousing because I'd be feeling the smoothness of his mouth gliding up and down on my glands of my penis and also the shaft of my penis. And like if he's like touching my arms and like touching my hips and rubbing his hands on my body, I'm feeling the smoothness of his touch and the smoothness of his hands. And if he's like talking to me in a deep, smooth, and sensual voice, which is another thing I really like, when a guy talks to me in a deep, smooth, and sensual voice, I'm hearing like the deep and smoothness of his sensual voice. But then on top of that, I'm looking down at him and I'm seeing how smooth his head is and how smooth his bald head is while he's sliding his smooth lips up and down on my penis. And I imagine the stimulation from all of that going on would be extremely arousing, honestly. Well, it would be extremely arousing, but it's kind of my autism mind that kind of causes me to be like extremely sexually aroused by that, really. It's even better when it's an older man because I'm mainly attracted to older men, honestly. I mean, just as long as he's over 18 at least, or at least older than I am, really. I prefer older men. The older the better. But there's also another thing that I noticed about all the gay porn videos that I like watching of these old bald guys sucking penis. And I'm going to show you guys like a couple screenshots from each one that I watch. And they're not going to have anything like X-rated, just close-ups of the guy from the videos. Alright, look at these pictures of these guys. Alright, see all of them? And some of these pictures are of one German guy. I think he's German. I watch him on X Hamster, and he's always like sucking a guy off in his videos, and I really like his videos, and I want him to suck me off in one of his videos. That'd be really nice. But notice anything similar about all these guys in these pictures? They all look like really frail and really skinny, and they're all bald too. Now, before I explain this, I just want to make it really clear. You don't have to be like frail and skinny looking to be my lover and partner. I mean, I really don't care what a guy looks like. I mean, as long as he's nice on the inside, that's really all that matters, really. But all those guys who I showed the pictures of, they all look like really frail and really skinny, and they're all bald as well. And this is definitely because of my autism mind, but when I see a man who's frail and skinny and who's bald, and especially if he's an older man, I find that sexually arousing because it triggers something in my mind. I feel like that man is sick if he's like frail looking and skinny and bald, or even if he's just bald without being skinny. I feel like that man is sick. That's the first thing that comes to my mind when I see a bald guy. And I'm not talking like, oh, that guy is sick, contagious sick, stay away from him. Well, definitely not that kind of sick. More like the kind of sick as in, oh, that man is sick. I need to go over to him and help him and give him my love and affection to help heal him and help make him feel better, really. And that's what my mind goes to when I see a old, frail, and sick-looking guy who's bald that I need to go over and help him, and it triggers like this really loving and caring response within my autism mind. Because this may be difficult for some of you guys to believe, but when I like someone and care about someone and close to someone and know that they're my friend and everything, I tend to be very caring and compassionate over them. I mean, especially if it's a man who I'm sexually intimate with. I tend to be very caring and loving and compassionate with them, honestly. And especially if he's bald and frail looking, and especially if I think that he's sick and everything. But not like the contagious kind of sick, more like the kind of sick that, like, I mean, nothing would happen if you go near him. He's just, like, not feeling well or something like that and needs, like, my love and affection to help heal him, honestly. So basically, overall, that's what goes on in my mind whenever I see a guy who's bald and frail looking, and I immediately will think that he's sick. And if a guy who's like really frail looking and bald, even if he's not sick, but if he's an old, frail looking and bald and he got together with me and he wanted to be my lover and partner, it's going to cause me to be more affectionate with him and more loving with him if he's bald. I'm going to want to like hold him all the time, and I'm going to want to hold him in my arms and take care of him and everything. And I'm 100% convinced that there is at least one man who would definitely get off on that, honestly. Having a guy who's like really affectionate with him and wanting to hug him and hold him because he cares about him and is worried about his health and wants him to feel better. Like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm smart enough to know that if a frail looking old guy who was bald became my lover, I'd be smart enough to know that he really is not sick, even though he's frail looking and bald and everything and old. But still, it would trigger this instinct inside my mind to go over and hold him and be affectionate with him and everything like that. I hope that makes sense to you guys. And another ironic thing is there's this one app that I use because I'm on tons of different gay dating apps, but still can't find a lover and partner at all. I talked to a bald guy on this app called Recon, and I never had any luck on the app Recon at all. It's like one of those, it's like a gay BDSM dating app, really. But there was this one bald, submissive guy who I was talking to on Recon, and I noticed he was bald from all of his pictures. He was also skinny and frail looking. And then I typed to him that I really like bald guys and that I'm really attracted to bald guys and I always wanted to be with a bald guy. And then he told me that he was turned on by that. And he told me that he wanted me to beat him and abuse him and treat him like subhuman trash and put him through all this painful stuff. And it kind of made me laugh a bit because that honestly was the exact opposite of what I had in mind of doing with them, the stuff he described. Because like that's one thing you see a lot on like a bunch of on the BDSM dating sites and the BDSM dating apps. Like the submissive guys always want to be like abused and mistreated. Luckily not always. I mean there are definitely exceptions. Thank God for those. But for some reason, like a lot of guys I talk to want to be like abused and mistreated and slapped around and degraded. But that's definitely not something that I'm into and definitely not something that I do. I'm like the exact opposite of that. If I'm with a guy and he's like performing oral sex on me and like nice enough to keep my penis inside of his mouth for an extremely long time, I'm not gonna slap him around or abuse him or do anything like that. I'm gonna be very affectionate with him, rub on his shoulders, tell him how much of a sweetheart he is and how much I love him too. I mean, usually when I tell a guy that I love him, he gets freaked out and he wants to stay away from me because you know how gay guys on apps are. But one day I will find one who doesn't get freaked out. But yeah, like I'm not into abusing or degrading anyone really. I mean, bald man or not, really. It's not. And then some guys even think that the reason why I like bald men is because like it's like I'm degrading them or something because they have no hair, and that's not true at all, really. I mean, I want to help them and heal them. Like when I see a guy who's bald, it brings out this loving instinct within me to help him and heal him and give him lots of my affection, really. And on top of that, there's also another thing. Now, I myself practice like witchcraft a lot, and I believe in the occult stuff. I mean, I performed spell casting, and I wrote out a whole bunch of love spell petitions trying to summon an obsessive, crazy man who would want to suck on my penis over and over again. Yeah, that's worthy of a whole new episode of Joe Winko Talk. And I also cast a lot of love spells on guys all the time with the assumptions that one will work. I even send out magic checks of abundance to guys who I've talked to online, which I sealed with my blood and sperm. I give those out for free, by the way. And I also use my sperm in a lot of the love spells that I cast on different men. But where I'm getting to with all of this is that one thing that I always like to imagine is that my sperm is magical and that my semen and pre-ejaculate fluids are magical because I'm a magic warlock who practices witchcraft. I always like to imagine that my sperm has healing powers within it because like whenever I'm using my sperm to cast a spell, it's always for something good. I never use it for any bad spells at all. It's always for something good, like trying to make a guy fall in love with me or getting my sperm on a magic check of abundance to mail it to a guy so he gets a lot of money from carrying it around with him everywhere. It's always something good that I'm using my sperm for whenever I'm casting a spell on someone, really. So I like to imagine that when a guy is swallowing my sperm and performing oral sex on me over and over again and swallowing my pre-ejaculate fluids and my semen, that he's gaining power from it, and that the more contact and the more sperm and the more pre-ejaculate fluids and semen that he swallows from me, the more powerful he gets. It's just like my comic book idea that I talked about in my gay Captain America love episode of Joe Winko Talk. When Captain Oral defeats Huevos Azul, every time he swallows a load out of Huevos Azul's penis, he's getting more and more powerful because Huevos Azul is a magic warlock and Captain Oral is feeding off of Huevos Azul's magic energy and everything like that. So yeah, that's what I like to imagine when a guy is like sucking my penis, that he's like feeding off my magical energy and that my sperm is traveling in through his body and is helping heal him. Because like human sperm honestly does have like a lot of healing components in it. Like it has calcium. It also has vitamins within it. And because I'm a type 1 diabetic, type 1 diabetes is a medical condition that I suffer from. Because of my type 1 diabetes, I also have an excess amount of glucose within my body fluids. I mean, apparently even my saliva has glucose inside of it because my dentist even told me that I need to brush my teeth often because my saliva has glucose inside of it because of my type 1 diabetes. And they even told me that my body fluids contain glucose, which is sugar, within them. My blood also has glucose and sugar within it. So that also means that my semen also has glucose and sugar within it. And that's one thing that I hear a lot of people talk about online, that diabetics always have sweeter tasting sperm. And I actually am a type 1 diabetic, so it makes perfect sense, really. And I also read online that when someone is swallowing sperm like on a regular basis, it also acts as an antidepressant and helps boost their mood as well. So that's another reason why I want like a friendly man to become addicted to sucking my penis all the time so he can swallow my magic warlock sperm and enjoy all the benefits of it, especially because I would let him suck it and swallow it all the time. Whenever we're alone with each other, I definitely would. I mean, yeah. I mean, for as long as he wants to, because I can go multiple rounds, really. There was even one guy who messaged me on Instagram a while ago, and because I was posting pictures of my love spell stuff all over Instagram, he told me that he wanted to come to Florida and he wanted to meet me and he wanted to suck on my penis and swallow all my sperm because it turned him on that I was a magic warlock and that I love having my penis sucked on a lot. And he said that he wanted to swallow sperm from a magic warlock. And I was all up for it. I gave him my number and I said, yeah, let's make it happen. I would love for you to swallow all my magic sperm and you can swallow it over and over again. You can even keep my penis inside your mouth the whole entire time if you want to. And however, that never happened at all because he ended up ghosting me. I guess it was just a fantasy for him. He didn't want to make it real. But one day I will find a guy who will literally want to do that for real and who will literally be into that too and who will believe my sperm is magical and who will want to suck my penis over and over and over and over again like I would honestly love for him to, really. That's another reason why I like bald men so much. If I think he's frail and I think he's sick and I think he's like his health is down or something like that and he's sucking my penis, that's helping heal him and give him power and give him strength and give him energy. There was also this one dream that I had a while ago. I had a dream that I was in a dark room and it looked like it was some abandoned hospital or something, and there was a man laying in a bed, like in a cot hospital bed, and he was bald and he looked old too. I mean, he didn't look that old. He was like middle aged, like 40s or 50s or something like that. I mean, I don't care how old the guy is, but he looked like he was in his like 50s or something like that. And he was scrawny and he was malnourished and he looked sick. I mean, he was bald too, but he looked scrawny, malnourished, and sick. Like literally like a concentration camp survivor kind of sick. And I mean, I feel bad for showing this picture in this video, but he kind of reminded me of the man in this picture. Alright, he looked like that, except he looked worse than that. He looked like he was like suffering and scrawny and sick and everything. All of his bones were protruding from his body. And when I saw him, I got really sad and I felt sorry for him and I wanted to help him. So I walked over to him while he was laying in bed and then I saw that he was trying to move his hands and then I was wondering what he was trying to grab for and then he looked like he was reaching towards me because he noticed me right away. And then I walked over to him and then I put his hand in my hand and I was holding hands with him. And then all of a sudden I start noticing that he's like pulling me towards him and I got closer to him and then he starts like I was standing up and he was laying in bed. He starts reaching between my legs and he starts grabbing at my bulge. Like I was wearing red shorts in the dream, like red boxer shorts in the dream, kind of like the ones I have on right now. He was grabbing at my he was grabbing at my bulge and he was like grabbing at my penis and I noticed that and I was like, "What? Oh, he's grabbing at that." And then I looked at him and I saw this look in his eyes. He looked me directly in the eyes and somehow like he made it very clear that he wanted my penis. So I pulled my penis like out of my shorts and then I started noticing his eyes got wider and he had this like eager look in his eyes and he was like pulling me towards him. He was putting his hands on my penis and pulling it towards him, like pulling it towards his mouth. So then I just got close to his mouth and then I put my penis inside of his mouth and then he starts like suckling me and then I'm just standing there letting him suck on my penis the whole time. And then I started to, like I felt his lips around my penis and then it felt good. I mean, I felt the warm contact from him. I felt his hands like grabbing my side. And like I believe I was like oozing out pre-ejaculate fluids, because the weird thing with me, like pre-ejaculate fluids and pre-cum, I can't ooze out pre-ejaculate fluids by myself. I need another guy to be like down between my legs, like touching me and sucking on me and stimulating me. That's the only way I can get pre-ejaculate fluids to ooze out of my penis. Like I can't like get pre-ejaculate fluids by jerking myself off. I need another man to be like touching me and sucking on me to get pre-ejaculate fluids to come out of my penis. And I did have another man touching on me and sucking on me in the dream. This scrawny, like sick-looking guy who was laying in bed. And then like it felt good, and I was oozing out pre-ejaculate fluids. But then I started to notice something. All of a sudden, his grip started getting tighter. He was like really frail, not able to move at first, but then like he starts wrapping his arms around my waist and pulling me in closer. And I look down at him. He doesn't look as malnourished, and this wasn't happening instantly. Like it gradually, like his arms, like they went from looking like thin, frail, and malnourished to looking like normal arms to looking like really bulky. Basically, he went from looking like thin and frail looking to strong enough to wrap his arms around my waist and lift me up. And he still had my penis inside of his mouth, and he kept sucking my penis over and over again. And it got more intense. The suction got stronger and stronger. And I mean, I was obviously enjoying it the whole entire time. I mean, gosh. And I looked down at him. He's not this like thin, frail, malnourished looking sick guy. He's like this strong, like superhuman guy then. And he's like looking me in the eyes, and he's smiling at me while my penis is enveloped between his lips. He went from, let me show you a visual. He looked from looking like this to looking like that after I put my penis inside of his mouth. So you guys remember what I said about my penis having like healing powers? That's exactly what was going on in the dream. This guy was sick, dying, and malnourished looking, but when I put my penis inside of his mouth and let him suck on my penis, it strengthened him up, and now he looks like some powerful He-Man, and he was looking up at me, like smiling, with his strong arms wrapped around my waist, and I was just like looking down at him, enjoying it the whole entire time, oozing more pre-ejaculate fluids into his mouth until I ejaculated inside of his mouth. And then even after that, he kept sucking on my penis because, I mean, I can definitely, like, some guys, when they get sucked off, like, they're like, okay, done, get off my dick. But that's definitely not me either. I mean, like, as long as you're gentle with it, because it gets really sensitive after I orgasm, he kept sucking on my penis, and I was enjoying it the whole entire time. And then eventually I woke up, and that dream caused me to love bald men even more, because that's exactly what I'm going to be thinking about when a bald guy is sucking my penis. And you don't have to be like some super bulky guy or some skinny, frail guy to suck my penis either. I mean, I honestly love all men, honestly. I mean, technically you don't even have to be bald, but I would really like it if you were, honestly. And that brings me to my next point. Most guys don't like shaving their heads at all and don't want to be bald at all. And I think that's kind of weird, because I think men look very handsome when they're bald. I mean like yeah, I mean most guys, I imagine most guys wouldn't want to look frail and sick looking, or would want someone to think that they're sick looking. But I mean, if it triggers a response, like say a guy really likes me and he's bald, I mean, I would imagine he would think it was weird that I think he looks frail and sick looking, but if he like, say he's like madly in love with me, and he knows that, I mean, not that he's sick and frail looking, that he's bald, it's going to cause me to become more affectionate with him because it's going to cause me to think that he's sick and frail looking and that I need to like care for him and hold him and hug him and let him suck on my penis all the time, and that I get extremely sexually aroused by him sucking my penis all the time because he's bald and I'm feeling the smoothness of his lips all over my penis and seeing the smoothness of his head along with it. I'm pretty sure he's not going to mind that at all, really. I mean, he might even embrace it, honestly. I mean, hopefully. Hopefully. I mean, if he's the right guy, definitely. But yeah, I mean, it's sad when no guy wants to be bald at all. I mean, I love men who are bald. In case you guys haven't noticed by now, I do love men who are bald. But there's also one more thing that I need to discuss when it comes to this, really, and it's another reason why I love bald men. And this story is kind of sad. I mean, it has a happy ending, but it's still kind of sad. I remember back when I was a kid, we had this we had this family friend because my adoptive mother every now and then, like, she would have friends over, people she's friends with over, and there was this one person who went to her Weight Watchers. No, it wasn't Weight Watchers. It was like her. She would go to the gym and have spinning classes a lot, and there were other women in her spinning classes who she was friends with, and she was friends with this one older woman who had a husband, and they also had a son too. And their son was actually an adult. He was like in his 20s. And this was back when I was like 10 and 11 years old. But he kind of had some psychological development issues. And just letting you guys know, this is not the man. This is not the guy who molested me at all. Just making that clear to all you guys. But whenever he would come over, he would always be interested in talking to me. And like, I was like 10 and 11 years old, and I thought it was really cool that like an adult actually wanted to talk to me and be friends with me and everything. And he'd always want to play video games with me, and that's one thing me and him would do a lot. We would play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas 2 player, and I always loved playing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas 2 player. Basically, all we would do is run around the city and blow stuff up and destroy stuff, and like, I always loved playing it with someone, and he's one of the only guys who ever played Grand Theft Auto San Andreas 2 player with me. And for this video, let's just say that his name is Jeremy. And so Jeremy was like in his 20s, in his early 20s at the time, and I was like 10 or 11 years old. And he had some psychological issues. Looking back on it now, he had some psychological development issues, which I didn't really notice at the time. I just thought he was a really nice guy who wanted to play video games with me. But I was 10 and 11 years old, and I thought it was cool that an adult wanted to play video games with me because, I mean, you know how kids are, really. And we would always play, like, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas with each other all the time, and it was a lot of fun. Well, one day, my adoptive mother told me, because she knew that me and Jeremy were close to each other and we were friends every time or they would come over, me and him would play video games with each other. She told me that he had cancer, and Jeremy was not, he was not bald at all before, back when I first met him. He was not bald at all when he was coming over and we were playing video games together. She told me that he had cancer, and I was, I knew about cancer back when I was young, and I was worried about him because he was my friend. And I remember she took me, we were going over to see him, over to their house to see him, and she told me that he might not survive the cancer. And she said, if there's anything he might not survive, there's a chance he could, but there's a chance that he won't. And this might be your last time seeing him. She just had to tell me that. What a bitch, gosh. But even though it is true, she said that it might be my last time seeing him. And I don't know why she had to tell me that. And she said, don't say anything to him that's gonna bring him down at all. But just keep that in mind. And that's what she told me. And then I remember when I saw him, and he looked skinny, he looked frail, and all of his hair was gone. And I wasn't creeped out by it, but it was sad. It was, I mean, at that time, it was really sad. Because remember, this has a happy ending. He didn't die at all. I just want to make that very clear. He did not die at all. But I went over to him, and I was scared that he was going to die. And I started crying, and I held him in my arms, and I told him that I did not want him to die at all, and that I wanted him to stay alive. And he wrapped his arms around me too. He was telling He was telling me that he was going to be fine and that he was going to live. He was like, "Don't cry about it, buddy. He'll be all right." And I believed him. And he was right, because he did survive. And he managed to beat the cancer, and he didn't die at all. But there's another twist to this. Now, he managed to beat the cancer, and he didn't die at all. And after he managed to beat the cancer, he did keep coming back over, and we did keep playing video games with each other, and it was awesome. I was happy to have him, and that caused me to like him even more, because like I was at risk for, in lack of better terms to describe this, risk of losing him forever. But luckily I didn't. He survived. And but eventually we kind of drifted apart, like because I went over to live in the Dominican Republic back when I was 12, and then I eventually came back to live with my biological uncle in the Dominican Republic back when I was 12. But then eventually I moved back to the USA and when I was 14, and then this was like a couple years after. We were going to some, I forgot what the family event was. It was something for my adoptive mother's friend from her spinning class or something like that. It was some like family event, and that they were holding or something, some celebration or something. It was way back when I was like 16, so I don't really remember it very well. And I saw Jeremy there again, and I recognized him right away, and he was still bald, and I got kind of freaked out by that. I was like, "Oh, did his cancer come back?" Because like after like he got cancer and after he beat it, he kept like keeping his head shaved and everything, and I didn't really know that at the time. I thought the cancer was just permanently caused him to permanently lose his hair even after he recovered, but that's not true though. But I got freaked out because I thought the cancer came back, and he told me, "Oh no, I keep my hair buzzed off all the time. I like having it buzzed." That's what Jeremy told me. Then he told me that he never forgot that day. He told me that he never forgot that day that I came to see him while he was sick with cancer. And he said that he will remember that day for the rest of his life, because he saw how upset I got when I saw him. And he said that when he was diagnosed with cancer, that he was ready to give up and he was ready to die. But he said that the one thing that caused him to hold on was when I wrapped my arms around him and told him that I didn't want him to die at all. And he said that that was the one thing that he told me that if I wouldn't have came to see him that day, that he wouldn't be alive. And he said that he was grateful for that. And I remember when he told me that, and I started tearing up and I started crying because that, not because I was sad, but because it hit deep when he told me that, and it still hits deep to this day. And I took him in my arms and I hugged him, really. And now it's a bit awkward thinking about that now because he was really just my friend. He wasn't he never became my lover or anything. I mean, unless he does end up becoming my lover, but I haven't heard from him in a long time, but I'm pretty sure he's still alive. I mean, if he would have passed away, I would have definitely heard about it, but his cancer never came back. He was fully healed from it, and he ended up surviving, and he told me that if it wasn't for me taking him in my arms and crying that I didn't want him to die back when I was 11 years old, that he wouldn't be here to this day. And I mean, it warmed my heart, really. He said that that moment meant a lot to him and that he would never forget about it at all. So that's another reason why I love bald men. And it doesn't, don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. It doesn't make me sad when I see a guy who's bald. I mean, it sexually arouses me when I see a guy who's bald. But it doesn't make me sad. I'm not going to think that you're going to die at all. Because, this was actually a happy memory because he ended up beating the cancer and he ended up surviving. And he said that it was me giving him a hug and telling him that I didn't want him to die is what gave him a will to live. That's what I remember him saying, that it gave him a will to live and that he didn't want to die at all because he saw how sad that I was seeing that he had cancer, and he said, I didn't want to die and leave you behind like that, and that warmed my heart, and it always will warm my heart thinking about that and knowing that I helped save him, and he believes that I helped save him, and I'm pretty sure I did. And yeah. And that was even before I started practicing magic and witchcraft stuff that I had that effect. So yeah, I mean, I don't mean to brag, but I feel like at least part of me is magical, I guess. So yeah. That's basically my whole reason why I love bald men so much. So, can everyone watching this video please hope that one day, I mean, the sooner this happens, the better, please hope that one day a crazy bald man will fall madly in love with me and will want to become my lover and partner and will want to suck on my penis as often as possible, really. I mean, I'd be really happy if I had that. I mean, gosh. Like, I know, in one of my other previous episodes of Joe Winko Talk, I talked about how I love men who have beards. But a guy can be bald and have a beard at the same time. I mean, just saying, really. I mean, no hair on his head. It doesn't matter if he has hair elsewhere on his body, really. But, yeah. Those are the reasons why I love bald men. So everyone watching this video, please hope that a crazy bald man falls madly in love with me and becomes addicted to having my penis inside of his mouth and would want to be connected to me and want me to be his lover and partner. I mean, because if he was doing all that, he would have me as his lover and partner. But yeah, that's basically it for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. please let me know what you thought of it in the comments. And if you guys want me to talk about more sexual stuff in my episodes of Joe Winko Talk, please let me know in the comments. I wanted my first episode of Joe Winko Talk for year 2024 to be a happy one, and I can tell you guys this definitely was a happy thing to talk about. I mean, like, the whole cancer thing was gloomy, but Jeremy ended up surviving cancer, and he's still alive. So yeah, that's a happy thing. So that's basically it for this episode of Joe Inco Talk. I hope you guys all liked it. So don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. So that's it. Peace out, people.